Hello, everyone. Sorry for the little delay up front. If you can't tell, it's my internet's a little iffy here in Chattanooga area. Storm has came through, dumped several inches of snow, but and hopefully that won't happen again. Now that the mic is set. Sorry again, having some trouble getting online, but the mic is now balled into the board. So let's bring on a couple of people that we're here to talk to, mainly a special man in Stan Smith. But Phil Harris, you're here with us. I want to make sure that you kind of introduce Stan and tell us what this event's about.
Okay, well, of course, welcome Stan Smith as part of the 2024 Transplant Games in Birmingham. Stan, I want to bring you in. You can introduce yourself. Tell us what your job title is and how are you involved in the games and what got you involved in the games.
Okay, Phil. I'm currently co-manager of Team Alabama, and that's made up of the people from that live in Alabama that have had organ transplants or living donors, to be donor families, and caregivers too. And what we do is each team sends their representatives to this transplant games every 2 years. This year, we're fortunate to have it in Birmingham, which I'm just over the moon about that. In the past, I've served as more as a photographer and videographer. I've always been the caregiver. My wife was a heart double lung and kidney recipient. She had a heart double lung in 1989 and kidney in 99. And in 2000, we were fortunate enough to be in the volunteer group that actually started Team Alabama. So I've been in the mix of the transplant games from Alabama standpoint since 2000. And this will be the 8th game that I've attended. So this year, we only had like 4 people that's been to games in the past. So I inadvertently got to be co-manager. It's a new role for me, but my job primarily has been recruiting people since we're actually rebuilding the team. And fortunately, we're up to about 50 people right now that are organ recipients. We've got about 12 living donors and several donor families. So we're moving along, getting ready for the big event coming up in July.
Well, Stan, how did the transplant games get started? What inspired it, and how important is it for not only the athletes but donor families?
Okay, I'm pulling up a document right here to make sure I got everything covered. The transplant games came about in the first official transplant games was held in Indianapolis in 1990. And the whole idea behind the games really was to highlight the accomplishments of people that's had organ transplants and to show that organ transplants really work. And it gave everyone a platform to encourage people to sign up to be organ donors. And that's really the whole thrust of the transplant games is to recognize the people, the donor family members, recognize the living donors, and using the transplant patients' accomplishments to show how those donations actually made life better for the people that received organs, which I think, Phil, you can talk about that.
Yes, definitely. So, that's what's got me into this is when I was going through the issues I had before I got a transplant, it was not going well for me. But, even at the Birmingham hospital, they tell me I'm kind of an exception to the rule where you go back to a normal life and thrive and probably are a whole lot. Of course, everybody's better once they get a transplant, but a lot of times people don't really get to go back to everyday normal functions. And, I'm one of those. I feel like I was getting older, but it makes me feel like now with the organ donation I got, I feel like I can do anything like a 25-year-old. I mean, it just really inspired me. And that's what makes me want to be in the games, because, if it wasn't for my donor 4 years ago, I probably wouldn't be here now. So it's a big inspiration to me, and I want to share it with others. And I'm looking forward to walking into that arena when, on the opening ceremonies, because I know it's going to be emotional.
Absolutely. That's one of the, to me, one of the most exciting parts of the event is to walk into the ovation from the crowd that's there. In the past, Team Alabama has always been the first team in, so you see a lot of empty seats that are there because that's where all the athletes are going to sit. But I think this year, since we're the host team, we're going to come in as the last team. Now, I don't know that for sure, but that's the way it's happened in the past. So there'll be a lot more people out there kind of cheering for us, I think. But, yeah, that was the thing with my wife. She was born with a congenital heart problem, and it was not found until my daughter was almost two years old. And she had a hole between the upper two chambers. And, she'd always suffered with asthma, what she thought was asthma all her life. So she really couldn't do much. And then after she had her transplant, she turned into the Energizer bunny. You couldn't keep her down.
Yeah.
And so she just, she loved competing at the games. She was not an athlete per se. She did the softball throw, and we did the 5K. She'd walked the 5K, but she was the queen of the shopping. So anywhere we went that had a place to go shopping, she was there.
So in other words, if that was a sport, you'd win a gold medal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's kind of like you're in that position where my wife has been in. I mean, she was my supporting cast, and she's been 100% behind me, everything I've done. Even me going to compete in these games, she's 100% behind it and wants to help volunteer, for this event. I just think it's a wonderful thing to kind of bring things together, because, I'm in that boat where I had a donor family, but I don't know who my donor family is. Hopefully one of these days I'll be able to meet them, but it's so inspiring, and I hope that someday I can meet my donor family to let them know, what it's meant to me and how I have thrived, because it's so very important. Well, Stan, tell us a little bit, about the games. What sports are involved? And, really and truly, I mean, the biggest thing is we want people to be aware of how important organ donation is, but also people can get involved and help financially, because it costs big bucks for the athletes to be able to come compete in the games. I mean, the city opens the doors for everybody to come compete, but there's still there's a big financial burden for the games to be put on.
Absolutely. The estimate for our team, for people that's coming from out of town that's going to be staying in a hotel for the 5 nights, is around $2,500 per person. And that includes the cost of the hotel room, their travel, the food for the time that they're there, the team uniforms, and the fees that it costs to register for the games. So all of that's included in our estimate. Now, if people that are around Birmingham that are not going to stay in hotels, and we're looking at probably somewhere between $1,250 to $1,500. But still, that's a pretty good chunk of money. And if you'll look down at the bottom of the screen, you'll see scrolling across the bottom the link to the website, to our website, which is under the Donate Life Alabama. And when you go to that, you'll see some pictures from the 2014 Transplant games out in Houston. That was the last one that I attended, so I was able to put those pictures up. But also, if you scroll down to the bottom of the page, there's a link down there where you can donate directly to the team, or you'll see little round icons with people's pictures in those. And if you click on that, you can actually make a donation to specific people through the Give Butter platform that Donate Life Alabama uses. And any amount, it would be greatly appreciated. $5, $10. If you want to do $100, or if you want to do $2,500, sponsor a team member, that would be fantastic. But yeah, just $10 would pay for parking for a day. $20 would pay for maybe meals. So yeah, it's a big deal as far as money is concerned, and that was one of the big things that we've been working on too, is trying to get financial assistance from businesses, and so far we've got a good bit of money, but it's not near enough to cover all the team members that we've got signed up at this point.
Well, Stan, I'll ask you this. I know, some people will want to, help financially, but how do people get involved if they say they want to volunteer or contribute in other ways?
Okay. The transplant games themselves, they're going to need like 3,000 people helping. And if you go to Transplant Games of America, there is a on the website there. I think you'll see it on the first page. There is a place where you can actually sign up to be a volunteer, and the people will not really receive the information until just a few weeks before the games. But that's one way that you can help out. Is if you'd like to just go help with the games, is volunteer for the games activities.
Okay. Yeah, of course, that's good to know, because I hadn't thought about that. It just popped into my head about people that may want to volunteer, just help, that maybe can't do financial or maybe want to do both. I mean, you don't know. Right? Well, Stan, give us the dates of the Olympic Games. When does the open ceremony start? How long does it last?
Okay, the official date is July 5th through the 10th. The opening ceremony will actually be on Saturday, and I think that's July the 6th. It's going to be at the arena at the Birmingham Jefferson Community the Civic Center, the BJCC, and it's open to the public. It's free. So I would encourage people, if they really want to see something and get inspired by, once all the team members come in, then all the donor families come in. It's really quite an inspirational type event for me. But those are the dates. And all of the competitions, too, are open to the public if they'd like to come and watch the people compete. And there's a number of venues around town. We can talk about that a little bit later. But, yeah, that's, again, it's the 5th through the 10th. And the July 5th is really the kind of the registration day for the athletes. And the ceremony and the 5K takes place on Saturday the 6th. And anybody can participate in the 5K if they'd like to. I mean, that's not just for transplant recipients and donor families. That's for the general public as well.
Yeah, okay, yeah, because that's what I mean, yeah, because there's some, some things that everybody's involved in, but it's mainly for the donor families and the transplant recipients who will be the athletes that will compete. Well, Stan, what sports, you don't have to go through every one of them, but just kind of give everybody the idea, what sports are involved in the games?
Okay, there are 20 different sports that they can compete in. The 5K run, like I've already mentioned, we've got badminton, we've got ballroom dancing, basketball, bowling, cornhole, cycling, darts, golf. Then you've got all the track and field events, table tennis, swimming, volleyball. There's a virtual triathlon for the youth, and there's a youth Olympiad too for the younger people. So, a whole bunch of things there. I mean, some of the people that come to the games are really athletic. You'll be surprised how athletic these people are. But then there are the others that really are not. So that's the reason we have things like the Lyrics for Life and Texas Hold'em Poker. There's going to be a trivia challenge. and things like that. So there's a whole variety of events that people can compete in and actually win medals.
Yeah, and that's that's of course that's always great because I mean that's part of that's what you think of when you have the Olympics is the medal part of it. Of course the biggest thing is being able to compete, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of camaraderie, a lot of stories that are swapped back and forth. But being a little bit more involved in it, and I hear y'all talk about it, and you can talk about this. That one of the best things that happens during the games, and many people you may have to explain this so people can understand it, is the pin swapping that's done. It's one of the the biggest things that happens as far as the athletes go when they all come together, and these athletes come from all over.
That's right. From all over the United States, and I think there's going to be 4 international teams that's going to be there, but each team has their own pin, and the pins are, they're maybe an inch to inch and a half in diameter, or ours is more of a heart shape this year. And we've become, I think, in 2000, our manager came up with the idea of let's call our team. Our pins are going to say Team Alabama, y'all. So in the last magazine from Transplant Nation, on the last page, Bill Ryan had posted, "Welcome to Birmingham, y'all." So I think he's kind of stolen a little bit of our use of that term. But yeah, the pin swapping is really a big deal, especially with the kids. And my wife was right in the middle of all that. She loved to collect pins. I still have her lanyard up here on hanging up on the wall that's got all the pins from the last game she attended. And that's a way that you meet other people. And like I say, the kids are really the ones that's fun to watch collecting pins. I mean, they almost fight over them, but but still, yeah, that's a fun event. I mean, it's not a competition by any means, but anytime when you first get to the games, hey, I need a pin. You want to trade pins? That's one of the things you do, and you start sharing stories, and that's the thing I like to do is hear other people's stories.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, that's what it's inspiring to me. I love that part of it. And this will come in. Also, a lot of the stories will be shared. But there's events other than the games that the transplant team and the donor families are involved in outside of the games. Social events. Tell us about some of those.
Yeah, there's a welcome event. It's pretty much it's in the what they call in the Transplant Games of America Village, and what that is like a big area. You can go in and just meet other people, sit down and talk, maybe have a cup of coffee or something like that. And there's going to be a donor tribute ceremony, which is specific for people that are there celebrating their deceased donor. And that's always an emotional event, and they're expecting probably about 3,000 people to attend that event. And there will be a living donor celebration, and that's more of a festive type event, where you've got maybe the person that received the organ and their donor might be there with them. Like the first one that we went to, my sister-in-law was a kidney donor, so Nancy and her were right together, and that's a big deal too. It's fun. I mean, it's a festive event, and there's going to be an area they call a reflection room, and basically what that is, there are these quilt panels that are made that have all, I won't say all, but many donor family, the organ donors themselves. So it'll be something, it may be a picture, it may be a saying that they had, just something to commemorate them being an organ donor. But these quilts are going to be on display, and it's always interesting to just go in there and walk around and look and read the different comments and stories about the organ donors. And then that gives you an opportunity to run into maybe the donor families and just talk to them about their particular person and hear their story. So yeah, there's a lot of things going on, and really the social part of it is a big deal too. Like maybe in the hotel where you might be staying, there'll be several teams there, and when you go down for breakfast or something like that, you know, you can meet them and interact with them on a social basis.
Yeah, because naturally in something like that, you've automatically got something in common. So, you know, I'm sure it's easy to approach others because, you know, right off, you've got a short story to share and they've got a story to share, you know, so that's the part, too, that I look forward to. And yes, you know, when you was talking about the quilts, I experienced that for the first time. Well, COVID shut down a lot of things, but I got to go to the picnic at UAB back this past summer, and they had a lot of those quilts of deceased members where it had their dates, you know, what, you know, their, you know, little stories about them, or when they passed and all that stuff. And it was very interesting. The quilts were beautiful, well done, and I just went through and read a lot of them, and knowing that, you know, they weren't with us anymore, but they were there in spirit, and you can kind of feel that because, you know, it's so important that, you know, donor families are recognized, because a lot of us wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. You know, the young man that gave his liver to me, you know, I was given a second lease in life, and, you know, and boy, I cherish every moment. I try to live every day at its fullest, and, you know, and I want other people to write their own story, because every one of us has a story to tell, you know, and, you know, and I've always said I want to leave this world a better place than the way I found it. And, you know, and I want to share my story, and I want others to, you know, to make their own story. And sometimes you have, you know, something that happens, and a lot of people don't get second chances, but it makes you step back a little bit and appreciate what you have. And then you know how to, you know, pass it on to others and inspire them, you know, to be the best they can be. You know, don't wait for something bad to happen. You know, make it happen now. Write your story. You know, no matter how big your dream is, dream big. And if you have to change your goal around a little bit, that's fine. But don't ever give up. But, you know, that's the big thing in life. And, you know, and I'm looking forward to this because it's going to be so inspiring. Getting back where you were talking about, where you come in on the opening ceremony, you know, I know y'all talked about how emotional it is when the donor families come in. So, you know, they said, get ready because you're going to be squalling.
Absolutely. I'm almost emotional now thinking about it. Yeah, make sure you have some tissue with you, that's for sure. And, yeah, it's really special. At the Houston games in 2014, I had my video camera, and on my credentials, I had media at the bottom. I had asked if I could have that recognition so I could kind of get to places and take pictures and shoot video where most people, they didn't want you to be in that area. But what I did, I walked in with the team members first and had my video camera on a monopod so I could hold it up and see over their heads and see all the people in the stands. And then I went back around and I came in with our donor family members. And man, oh man, that was very special. And that, going back looking at that video, I mean, these people are, in that particular case, we were in a stadium and we were coming in on the track, which is right next to the wall where all the people were. They were just reaching out and high-fiving everybody, you know. And I remember seeing one lady specifically. I had met her earlier. She had gone through about a cancer and didn't have any hair, so she was completely bald, and it didn't bother her a bit. But she was also a organ recipient, and she just had tears pouring down her cheeks. I mean, you know.
Yeah, I would imagine, and I know getting well, I've been the same way because sometimes when I think about what I've been through, it's emotional sometimes. It's kind of overwhelming, but it also allows you to have a big appreciation for everybody that's involved in the games. And as soon as I heard about it, I told Chrissy I want to get involved in it if I can be involved in it athletically. Of course, I know I can't compete in every. I noticed that how it works. You can only do like one sport per day, and I was looking at. I want to compete in tennis, so I may have to do like, singles tennis, and maybe not can do the doubles, but then I can do a play on, where you have single, golf, but then you have team golf on the following day. And, of course, I thought about maybe trying bowl or something like that. Of course, I'm sure there's other events, but it's just going to be fun just to compete. I just want to see how I can do against others. And because I enjoy competing. I mean, and that's what it's all about. I think that's where the athletes feel. Randy, is there anything you want to ask? Is anything you're interested in, or maybe have a for Stan? Because Stan's got a lot of answers. I mean, he knows a lot of things. He's been through a lot, and and he's you can pick a lot of things because he has really enlightened me on these Olympic Games.
Phil, I want to ask a couple questions, but first I want to make sure to clarify with Stan. To volunteer to work the game, you can just be anybody just to volunteer, correct? Just normal citizen wanting to come down and work the games.
Absolutely. That's all you need to do is just go to the Transplant Games America website. And again, there's a spot where you can sign up to be a volunteer. And like I say, they need 3,000 people because you think of all the stuff that's going on at the Birmingham's Civic Center. That's ongoing, and you're going to have the field events are going to be at Birmingham Southern College. The track events are going to be out at Crossplex, which is where the old fairgrounds used to be, and also the swimming events out there. The bowling is going to take place in Vestavia, and the tennis is going to take place at the Hoover Met. And then Highlands Golf Course and on the south side of Birmingham is where the golf will take place. So people are going to be all over. And, it's going to take a lot of people to man those various places.
Stan, in listening to your story a little bit, and this goes to you, Phil, as a friend, a supporter of you when you went through this. Stan, this journey, I think it changes people. And this event is about changing perspective and honoring not only the athlete but the family. What do you think that means in the scope of the games? It's just the recognition of the families and the athletes.
Well, it does change the way you look at things. Like when we found out about Nancy's problem, like say my daughter was not quite 2 years old, I just immediately, it was just like a ton of bricks fell on my head. And I was thinking, we did not know she had a heart problem. So I was thinking, I said, my goodness, am I going to be a single dad at some point? And, when she went through all of that, Dr. John Kirkland at Kirkland Clinic, that's who the clinic's named after, told her that she might live 5 years, if she followed the doctor's orders and all that. But it was a life-changing event. And then, fortunately, she lived long enough, which was almost 15 years, to get the heart double lung transplant. It was, when I go to speak to people, I told them that I've been married once and the Lord's blessed me with 3 wives.
Amen.
And those people kind of look at me funny, like, what do you mean by that? Well, I had my bride, after we got married, and I had my bride after the heart double lung transplant, and then I had my bride after the kidney transplant, and they were 3 different people. So, it was just totally a life-changing event in both cases there, the heart lung transplant and the kidney transplant. And that's the thing about it. Whenever you go through and just see all these people out there, I feel that people are going to understand more about what organ donation really means. And, you know, if something ever happens to me, I've signed up a long time ago to be an organ donor. You know, hey, I'm not going to need it anyhow. I know where I'm going to be. So let somebody else use what they can for my body I'm no longer there. So, you know, that's sort of the way I look at it. And I hope everybody else kind of will get that idea that, you know, you turn a tragedy into something maybe, I won't say worthwhile, but not just waste a tragedy. Let something happen that can help you get through those dark times, and knowing that part of your deceased person is helping somebody else live.
I understand. Yeah, here on that, because, you know, that's like the liver I got. The young man's spirit lives on in me, and it'll always be that way. A part of him is part of me, you know, and I'm obligated, and I feel like I owe my life to honor him for the rest of my life. And what you were talking about, Stan, I'm sure my wife will tell you the same thing, that me before transplant, me after transplant was two totally different people. You know, and I've even heard people when I went back on radio again, you know, I hear you sound like your old self, you know, and all those things. So it does change you. And what you saw in your wife, I think people, you know, see, like my wife sees in me, that I'm a different person since I had the transplant. And that's why it's so important. And you know, understand, we haven't really talked about this yet. I mean, because we can go back and cover other things, but that's what we're here for, is awareness for people to organ donate when the time comes. And you don't just have to put it on your license. You can do it in other ways. I mean, you can register through many different ways. You can write it down on a piece of paper. You can let your family members know that you want to be an organ donor. There's different ways of doing it besides just putting it on your driver's license.
Hey, Phil, let me comment real fast there, since I kind of experienced this after being part of your story as a friend and a supporter. You can also include it in your living will, which is carried out upon anything that happens to you, is the instructions to organ donors. So we all should have a living will, but that offers you another chance to assure your decision, which is the important part.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Do you want to add some to that, Stan? You know, I mean, you know, a lot of ways, you know, your best ways of possibly if somebody wanted to be an organ donor, what would they do?
Okay, just the Donate Life Alabama, when you go to the first part of that website, or even down on our part of the website, there is actually a spot on there. I believe it has a QR code that you can use your cell phone, take a picture of that, and it will take you over to the Donate Life Alabama site, where you just fill out your name, your address, phone number. I think it asks for your social security number. All that's very confidential information, and that goes into a database. And there, at some point, you know, if you're unfortunate enough to have an accident or some sort, then they can access that database and see for sure, okay, he did sign to be an organ donor. The family would probably know, and having gone through several family members that's passed away, they do ask you there, do you want to be this person to be an organ donor? So, you know, if you are in that situation and they do get that question, yes, they did want to be an organ donor, and they've already registered to be one. So that's the way you can do it. But like you say, to me, I've done the driver's license for many years, just right after she had her heart lung transplant in '89. Whenever they first started it, I started having that put on my driver's license. But yeah, there's any number of ways. Like the living will is a good way of doing it too.
Yeah, definitely. So, and people sometimes I think, have a misconception like, you're an organ donor, they're going to come in and pull the plug on you since you are going to be an organ donor, but that's not the way it is. There may be some protocol that they do to keep you alive longer, but, they're not just going to come in and pull the plug on you. They're going to wait until there's no hope. Just like when I think I got very little information on my donor, but it got to the point where he went into cardiac arrest and there was no brain activity. So his family made the decision, since he was an organ donor, to let him pass on so that they could, take his organs. And, there's no telling, and people understand too, I think there's 8 different ways an organ donor can contribute to others, and that, and that's, that is an impact on other people's lives, because you've got all kind of different ways of organ donation and tissue donation and eye donation and all those things, and all of them are important, and you can affect up to 8 people's lives.
That's true. One of our team members, Danny Rivers, I think you've met him. He's had 2 cornea transplants, and the corneas were from a person, 2 different people, but he's also a kidney donor, so he's got both sides of the covered there.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then we have another lady that's on the team that has had bone tissue. So there's any number of different things. You can donate skin. You can donate your eyes. One thing I found out about when people think about eyes, they think about the cornea. Well, the white part of the eyes can be used to repair the ears. I didn't know that. We had a speaker at one of our support group meetings from the eye bank talking about how they use the different parts of the eye for different things. And when he mentioned that about the repairing ears, I said, gee, that's something else, Yeah, there's all kinds of things that can be used.
Yeah, not just the liver and kidneys and lungs and all those things that, that really keep people, keeps people from basically where you're talking about the eyes and whatnot, keeps people from losing their eyesight. And then they have can continue to have a good quality of life. It's amazing how medicine has advanced and allowed this to happen. Well, Stan, I want to give you the opportunity. I know you've got a lot of people that's on your staff that helps you. You want to give a shout out to any of them because, the people around you that's part of the management team, how important are they? And do you want to, kind of give a shout out to some of those people in name wise?
Sure. Leil Feist is our manager of the team, and she's new. She is a very special lady. She donated a kidney to somebody that she didn't know. She just happened to see a story on Facebook, and she had been thinking about donating a kidney in honor of a child that she lost at birth that was born without kidneys, I think she said. So this was just a little over a year ago, and just made the donation, through a Facebook contact. We have another lady on the team I've known her ever since she first got her heart transplant, and she is 32 years out on her heart now, and she's about the same age as my daughter. So we've had a real good relationship over all these many years. Lyric Brogdon is another one of our management team members. She was on the 2000 group. She went into acute liver failure, and then when she woke up, she had a transplanted liver. So she's got a very unique story. Pam Banker is another one of our management team members. She's only attended, I think, 2 or 3 games, but she's a bone marrow recipient, and she's had the honor to meet her bone marrow donor at one of the games that she went to. And she's just doing fantastic. Bowling is her big thing, and she's medaled in the last couple of games that she's participated in. We've got another mother-daughter group. Well, I won't say group, but Lucy had a heart transplant. Oh gosh, probably pushing 30 years ago or 28 years ago, something like that. I don't remember specifically. But her daughter now has had a heart transplant about 5 years ago. So I'm hoping they're going to be on the team. They haven't really, they're on our list, but they haven't really confirmed yet whether or not they're actually going to participate. But I really hope that they do, because to have a mother-daughter heart transplant recipients come into the stadium would be just a special, very special event. Let's see, I can go on and on. There's a whole list of people I can tell you about, but that kind of gives you an idea. I mean, we have all kinds of stories to tell, and each one of them is very special.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to give them a shout out, though, because, a lot of these people put in tireless time and work hard and really don't benefit, financially, but they do it because of, for special reasons. And, but it's always nice to be a little pat on the back.
Right. Well, one more I'd like to mention, too. Ann Rayburn, she is the director of education at Legacy of Hope, which is the organ procurement agency. And she's also on the board of the Donate Life Alabama, but she's also a kidney donor. And she is instrumental in our executive committee, getting everything all tidied up, I guess, if you will, and kind of keeps us in the middle of the road, But she works tirelessly behind the scenes, and I'm looking forward to seeing her come in at the games this time. This will be something new for her.
Yeah, I know. It's going to get here before you know it, and I'm looking forward to it. Well, Randy, is there anything else you may want to add?
I want to ask a question to both of you. And Phil, I'll start with you because I kind of went through your journey with you, and you mentioned it. There's so much support outside, and you're talking about the games. But even when you went through your transplant, there's a lot of people that do a tireless work just to support this cause.
Oh, yeah. Well, I had so much of a great supporting cast. We got help from my family financially. Of course, I had a great supporting cast. The hospital at UAB is just first rate. They just kept me on the positive all the time. I even was diagnosed of having lesions in my liver, and they had to do away with them because if they got too large, they couldn't transplant. And they never talked about cancer. They just talked about how they were going to deal with it and do away with it. We were going to move forward. So they never let you get in a negative state of mind. They always keep you on a positive state of mind. And that's very important because when you're battling diseases like we all go through, it's important to have a great supporting cast and to stay positive, because, when I was diagnosed with liver disease, I just, that first thing popped in my head, I'm going to beat this somehow, some way. I didn't know it was going to be transplant-wise, but I just felt like it motivated me. And you can't do that unless you have a good supporting cast.
That's true. And one other thing I'd like to just say that there's a lot of support from the doctors and the coordinators at the hospital. I've been fortunate enough to talk to a number of them here in the last couple of months at Children's Hospital. On both sides of the fence there, one of the ladies that's kind of head of the transplant area in the Children's Hospital used to be Nancy's heart-lung coordinator. And so I've known her from 1989 until now, and she's been a tremendous help. Another lady that's over on the kidney and liver side at Children's, we used to go to church together. And, that's having that connection there, not just in a medical profession, but outside of the medical profession, if you will, is been a very special help. And then the other coordinators that are working there, they've taken the information that we've given them about the games and then passing them out to the parents of the children that's had transplants. So we've got a lot of support that way. And I just like to say one thing. Just recently, I think it was back in December, there was a press release came out that named UAB Medicine as the presenting medical partner for the 2024 Transplant Games of America. So UAB is going to have a big part in the games, and the one of the doctors there, Dr. Jamie Locke, is a big function behind, or she's the big person behind all of this, getting it all set up. So I was just trying to look over the article right here, but UAB is going to have a big presence at the game. You know, they're going to have doctors and nurses there in case people get hurt, from the sports medicine group and all that. So, yeah, they're going to be a big part. And I really am thankful that we have such a fine medical center here in Birmingham.
Oh, yes, it's wonderful. And incidentally, Stan, you mentioned Dr. Locke. She was the doctor that did my transplant. So, you know, and she's just super good, super nice. You know, Dr. McGuire was my doctor, but she's the one that did my transplant surgery. So, you know, she's got a kind of a little special place in my heart because, you know, she was just up front, very personal, you know, very positive, you know, and she's gotten the position she's gotten into. It's well deserved because she's a fantastic individual. And, you know, I can vouch for her for sure. Well, Stan, you know, we want to be sure to, you know, let everybody know, how do they donate if they want to donate? I know I filled out a kind of a little bit of a testimonial on Gift Butter, and you can donate in people's names. You can donate in my name, and there's other ways to donate. Tell everyone, you know, how they can donate once again, and, you know, and how they would go on to Gift Butter if they wanted to donate. And it's also, any donations are tax deductible.
That's correct. Again, if you go to the Facebook page there, scrolling across the bottom, it's showing the website. And when you go to donatelifealabama.org and scroll down, you'll see transplant games. And when you click on that, it takes you over to our page. And at the bottom of our page, this is the easiest way to do it. There's 2 or 3 places where you can actually click and make a donation. But when you see the circles at the bottom with people's faces in it, that's each one of those people, you can make a donation directly to them. And what we're trying to encourage everybody to do is to set up one of those, it's called Give Butter, is the platform that we're using. And it's very easy to use, but when you click on that, it just asks you a couple of questions. How much would you like to give, you know, and ask your name, email address. And as soon as you make that donation, within just a couple of minutes, you'll receive an email that is your receipt that you can use for your tax deduction, because we are operating under the 501c3 of Donate Life Alabama as a tax, you know, I lost my word. But yeah, it's tax deductible.
Yeah, definitely so. Okay, I mean, because, you know, any amount will help others. You know, of course, you know, as an individual athlete, they want me to raise a certain amount, but you know, I would like to, you know, raise more so that I can help other people that, you know, are kind of struggle to try to, you know, to raise their part, because it's going to take a lot, you know, and Lord knows I'd like to see as many people get there, you know, as they can, and be able to participate and share stories. And, you know, there's just so a lot going on. Well, Stan, I know we've covered a lot of things. Is there anything we may have missed?
Well, you want to hear a couple of stories that are kind of comical?
Yes, definitely. You know, and I was going to tell you, you know, also you've got people who come and are in the games that are actually celebrities. I know there was a story, wasn't there, about Larry Hagman that came to the Olympic Games one time, and he was part of them, you know, when he was around, because I think he was an organ recipient, wasn't he, at one time?
Yeah, Larry attended, gosh, I know when we started going, I've forgotten exactly when he had his liver transplant, but he was at the 1998 games. We had one athlete go to the 98 games. And then the last time I saw him, I don't remember if it was 2014 or when, but yeah, he was part of at the opening ceremonies, he would get up and talk to people about organ donation, what it meant to him. And one of the funny things about him, he said, "Okay, show me your scar," and he'd raise up his shirt, and so I could see his scar. And everybody in the audience that's had a liver transplant would stand up, or, well, any of them that would, but there was one of our young girls that don't pull it up too far, so yeah. He's gonna pull it over her head. No, don't do that, But yeah, he was funny. I mean, he was genuine, and he wanted to meet all the donor families, as many as he could. And one of the things that he would participate in is the donor ceremony, where they brought all the family members up to the front, and they gave them this it's like a round disc. It's made out of, I think it was made out of bronze, that you can actually place on the a headstone. And it said something about being an organ donor or something like that. So he was always in that line to welcome those people down and hand them one of those items there. So yeah, he was a big into that, and he didn't compete in any of the events, but he had a booth there in the village, and people would come over and have a picture made with him, and autograph things for him, and all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, we've had Chris Klug. I don't know if you recognize that name. He won a silver medal in the 2000 Winter Olympics, or 2002. I forgot what year it was, but he won a bronze medal in snowboarding as an Olympian. But that was 2 years after he had a liver transplant.
Wow.
So he's come to the games, and only thing he competed in was the 5K run, but he was quite an athlete. And then there's been several of the basketball players I remember one was a donated kidney to his daughter, and there was, I can't remember the name right now, and then there was another one that was actually a kidney recipient that was a professional basketball player. So yeah, we've had a number of celebrities participate in the games.
Yeah, of course, you want to share a couple of funny stories. You can go right ahead. Anything you want to share, the mic is yours.
Okay, I'm always picking on my wife because she had this funny way of saying things, but she and her donor mom were this was Disney World in 2002, and they were doing the 5K walk, and one of the things where we were walking was through Epcot. If you've been down to Epcot, they started out in the parking lot, went around the parking lot, come in a back gate, and walked all the way around the lake there in the middle of Epcot, and come back out the front and back to the finish line. It was, was 5K, a little over 3 miles or something like that. But Donna and Nancy were walking them, and Donna told Nancy, she said, I've got new tennis shoes, and she said they have rub blisters on my feet. I don't think I can finish the walk. So Nancy said, well, that's no problem. And Nancy walked over to one of the marshals that was standing by the route there, and told the marshal of the event, and that person said, well, you can go this way and go back out to the front, so you can, she didn't have to walk the rest of the distance. So they walked out, and they saw me there with the video camera. They said, well, let's go ahead and cross the finish line. So they were holding hands and going across the finish line. Nancy forgot that she had a timing chip, So as it turned out, she had inadvertently finished fourth in her age group. So she had only walked about maybe 2K.
That's happened in the Boston Marathon before, where people's taking shortcuts, and that's funny. That's a funny story.
Yeah, we tried to tell them. So no, she didn't. She had to take a shortcut, and they wouldn't take it off. They said, no, well, we'll just leave it there. It wasn't metal, so that was okay.
Yeah.
And the other thing too is watching the kids play basketball. I remember one year we had several little guys that were probably they go in age groups, and they were probably in the age group 8 to 10. So a lot of times they would playing high court basketball. They would forget to dribble, and there was one particular guy. Boy, he was running like crazy. He was holding the ball. He went all the way up to the net and threw it and scored. And everybody said, "Hey, he traveled." And the referee was over there just laughing. Said they wasn't going to call a foul on that, but they were very lenient on the fouls for the little kids. But that was another one that was. In my mind, I can still see it because I have it on video. I just really enjoy watching that. But yeah, that's a couple of the funny memories, and you're always going to have those.
Oh, definitely so. I mean, because that's what it's all about, is making memories, because that's what makes life worthwhile. That's what I talk about, and a lot of things I do. Winning and losing is very important. You want to win and everything, but it's the memories, the relationships that you make, and all the camaraderie is what's important in something like this. And that's what I think the Olympics is all about, is people competing, enjoying themselves, and and even rooting for everybody, to do well, because because that's what it's all about. That's what sports is all about. It needs to be fun and not personal.
That's correct.
All right, Randy, is there anything else you want to throw out?
Yeah, I want to throw out some of our support here at River City Media. We're going to stay with the Transplant games as it gets closer. Any information, I told Stan, we will get any information, promotion, fundraiser that needs to be done, because, like I said, it affects the River City Media family. As Phil is one of our big, let's say, success stories here. Also, Phil, just to put a bug in your ear, wouldn't it be wonderful to have a couple of these families on a podcast once you're down there at the Olympics? It might be something we have to look at doing.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about it that way, but yeah, that would be something to do. Is maybe find a couple of athletes that would be willing to come on and talk about their experience, their story, because it's always fun. That's how when we do our interviews, is share a little bit about their story. Other than maybe what they coach and what their everyday life is. How they got to where they are. That's important to hear everybody's story, because, like I say, everybody has a story to tell, and a lot of times they're worth hearing because they inspire others.
Absolutely, the stories is what makes it great. Also, Phil, we want to thank Stan for his time, and we're going to keep at the top of River City Media until the games in July a link for the Donate Life Alabama org transplant game. So anyone that'll be looking for a place to go donate, that link will be on the top of River City Media. And I think, go ahead.
Yeah, maybe over time I can share more as I learn more. I can share more with people about what things, everything that's going on. Because I plan on going to the business meeting in February because I keep learning things every time I go. And so maybe I can share a lot of that. Now, of course, I'm sure Stan's probably still got a lot in his head. But, if there's anything else you can think of, Stan, that you want to share, if you want to inspire others, whatever it may be, because it's going to be a great event. I sure am looking forward to it.
Right. If anybody's listening that's had an organ transplant or maybe a living donor or even a donor family member, if you're interested in participating in the games, on that website, the Donate Life Alabama Transplant Games, there's actually a place that you can fill out information. And what that does, that sends me an email, and I can start corresponding you about the games, especially if you're living in Alabama. So yeah, that would be one thing that would be beneficial too. Just get more people involved.
Yeah, and naturally, of course, some of our podcast goes into Tennessee a lot. And I'm sure there's ways that somebody in Tennessee can become a member on the Tennessee team. We just have to find a way to find out how to get in touch with those people. But definitely so, because everybody that can help and anybody that wants to participate, it'd be wonderful.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the Transplant Games of America website, I think it's on towards the last page. There's a spot where it lists all of the teams and all of the team managers and their contact information. So, yeah, if there's somebody in Tennessee, they can go over there and find a Tennessee team. And I know Steve Baum had his transplant here, but he's been involved in some of the Tennessee teams. So, yeah, you can do that.
Yeah, definitely. That would be great. Well, Stan, it's been a pleasure to have you on. I look forward to working with you in the future, and I guess I'll see you, the first week in February when we have the meeting, and of course, the more I can share, I will try to. But it's been a pleasure to share some of the experiences, and we appreciate you coming on and sharing, some of your story tonight on our show, and hopefully, we've opened the eyes up to people how important, and this is the most important thing, organ donating is, because you really help other people to live a quality life, because our story is going to end sometime, that we may be able to share and our spirit live on in somebody else.
Yes, Nancy was born to be an organ donor, but couldn't reuse her organs, so she was able to donate her eyes. So we did that for her.
Yeah. Well, that's all a wonderful story. You want to kind of wrap things up, Randy?
Yeah, well, we call this show Beyond the Booth, and it really was a look inside of some wonderful people, inside of you, Phil, and how much inspiration you give me as your friend, and Stan, how many wonderful stories he can tell. But this is going to be something you just will stay with us, and we'll bring you information over the next few weeks. And again, Stan, one more time with that website to donate money, to donate and support.
Yeah, it's donatelifealabama.org.
And that'll be
games.
And that'll be pinned to the top of River-City-Media until the games go off in July. For Randall Cunningham, for Sam Smith, for Phil Harris. Well, we had a little noise to start with. It looks like we made it through it. Appreciate your time. God bless, and come see us again.